Hey everybody, it's your man Type coming to you with another true spook story. Now, before we begin, I would like to ask that you hit that like button. Go and subscribe to the channel and share me if you don't think it's not robbery. All right, now this story right here, I know you guys are gonna love because I love this person. Loved past tense, not in a boyfriend, girlfriend, romantic love, just love to see this person, like in the everyday life. So I'm gonna jump on into it. So I was dating that girl V from the Nasty Soup, True Spook. If you could go back, I was dating V. This is in the early part of our relationship. So V and I was V was living with her mom. Her and her kids were living with her mom. So I after hooking up with her, I say, okay, let me go ahead and put the chick in the house because I wasn't trying to be screwing at her mama house and all that stuff there. And my lease was almost up, something like that. But I'm digressing. So I go to V. I say, hey V, let's get us a place together. And she was one of them women that wanted to stay close to her mama, stay close to the house or the neighborhood she grew up in. My foolish ass said, yeah, what's up? Let's do this. So she went and talked to this dude by the name of Lester. And Lester, his family were pretty predominant in the Orlando area, just in the hood, because they had a lot of companies like landscaping companies, window tinting companies, and his mother and his grandmother and grandfather, they owned a lot of little properties. But before his grandfather passed away, he sold off some of these properties, leaving the lady with just the one property and a lump sum of cash. So Lester lived with his grandmother before she passed away in the same house that V and I, had began to rent from Lester. Now, before I can continue with this story, I got to tell you guys a little bit about Lester. Lester was one of them really nice, educated dudes. He even knew how to play the piano and the fucking accordion. He was one of them educated dudes that just tried his best to hang around with gangbangers. He just wanted to be part of the crowd, hip. He used to try to curse, and the curse words didn't come out right. He used to chill and want to hang out with the big boys, but everybody just used him to buy weed and dope and all the shit and using for the cars that he had. So everybody was using this cat. Lester was a pretty cool dude, but it is what it is. He was being used by these cats. So keep in mind, all these people, V and all the people who were using Lester, they grew up with him, so they knew how he was. I'm brand new, fresh to the set. I don't know this dude like that. So she say, hey, Tight, I got us a crib. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna stay in one of Les' houses. And Lester, he cool people, he good. So I meet Lester, he draw up a little lease, little fake contract type lease shit. It wasn't stamped, wasn't notarized, no company, it just was an agreement on a piece of paper. We agreed to pay him like $800 a month for a 3-4 bedroom house. Cool. Now, at the time, V kids didn't live with us. They still lived about 4-5 houses up the road, around the corner with their grandmama and shit, because they like, oh, you met a new man, I don't want the kids there. And it was just a little bit of the grandma trying to have control. A lot of women go through that shit now, but I ain't finna get on that shit. So, me and V move into this spot. The house was kind of like pink, beige walls on the inside. So V said, hey, I want to paint the walls. So she went and got the most expensive paint. I think that shit was Ethan Allen paint. I don't know. This motherfucker paint had to be some expensive shit. Because the painting the inside of the man's house was amazingly expensive. And we were renting the bitch, so foolish me. So Les said, okay, you could paint the walls, just when you move out, paint them back white. So I say, hey V, what you gonna paint the walls? V said, I'll let you know in a couple days, couple weeks. So we chilling in the house, we relaxing, chilling, hanging out. Next thing you know, She wakes up in the middle of the night out of nowhere, and she say, "I want to turn the walls this color. We got to go to the store and pick it out." So I'm like, "Cool, let's ride." So the next day we go to the little paint store. I think it was Home Depot. We go to Home Depot. She picked out this color. I mean, this had to be the nastiest looking grayish color. When you put it on the wall, it was like a nasty grayish brown, but when it dried, it turned to a jet black, dark brownish purple. I mean, this color, I couldn't remake this motherfucking color if I thought about it. So she painted all the walls in the house this color. Literally rolled the little corners. She wanted this house jet black dark. Then she went and put jet black curtains up, the curtains to keep the sunlight out. Then she started putting aluminum foil on the window, so when you walk in the house, the bitch was dark as fuck. So I'm not used to that shit. I'm old light bringing shit in my house. We got guns and motherfucking. We had some crazy people coming out of my house when we were growing up, so we need that bitch lit up well. 'Cause we need to make sure ain't nobody finna come in there and rob us, shank us, or drop no dope around and call the police on us. It is what it is, real nigga shit. So I let the shit slide. So then she goes and start outfitting the house with all these statues and shit. All these statues. Nah, they wasn't African-based statues. They was Caribbean, Jamaican-based statues. Now, it's a difference, people. It's a fucking difference. These statues was made when she went to Jamaica on one of her little girls' trip, and she brought back a bunch of souvenirs, a bunch of these statues and shit. And she brought back a bunch of these leather heads made of somebody's face. Like they would put this leather on the person's face, then they would spin it and give it like a kind of swoosh moon look. This is what she said, I don't know. So she had put her face all around this house, about 6 of these things she had made with her face on it, so she say. But the leather was smelling so bad that the whole house reeked for months. Again, I let that shit go. Now, I'm sitting up here and I'm sitting in the house, and she allowed about 2-3 people from her hometown of Louisiana to move down with us. And she like, "Hey, tight, my cousin gonna stay with me. Is that cool with you?" And I'm like, "Nah, why you can't stay up the road with your mama? This me and you, we chilling. This just us and this bitch. We can do what we want." And she like, "Well, they ain't got no place to stay, and he or she don't really get along with my mama." Notice what I said, he or she don't really get along with my mama. I say, cool. I say, fuck it. So then she invited her boyfriend, her cousin slash, her female cousin slash male cousin, because at the time, I think the guy was having an identity crisis. So he identified as a woman, and he went and had a sex change as a woman, and when it was in its infancy. So I guess the family didn't like that. But y'all rock with me now. I ain't finna make this story about that. So now that person named D, they're staying with us. D invites her boyfriend Russ down. Now Russ staying with us. All these people from Louisiana, all these people enjoying this dark ass atmosphere they created. So I say, "Hey Les, here go the rent money." And I say, boom. So this is the first time I'm paying Les his rent money. Les like, "I appreciate you. I think this is gonna be a good transaction." So I say, "I'm not gonna be a dope boy for long. I got a family. I'm thinking about settling down, doing the right thing. Let me go ahead and get this job and work my ass off." So I go and take up 2 jobs. I'm taking out of town jobs. Been going out of town working for a lot, construction jobs, fucking around with them Mexicans and shit. The Mexican be working their ass off, boy. I'm telling you ain't gonna find a harder worker in America, boy, than the Mexican. They work their ass off. I don't speak that form of Spanish, but to my Mexican people out there, what's up? Y'all earned y'all keep in this bitch. But yeah, so I'm taking all odd jobs, building shit, learning landscaping, learning fucking roofing, scaffolding. I'm learning all that shit. So I'm coming home and I'm tired. So I'm dropping the money off to her and I'm giving the money to her, to V. Say, hey, you pay less because I'm back and forth to work. I only get to hang out on Saturday and Sunday while I'm chilling, watching a little anime, hanging out, going out to eat with more lady and shit. Typical man bullshit. So now let's get into the story. I done told you the characters. Let's get into the story. So now V cousin D, who was going through the identity crisis, who had the sex operation and had started developing feminine features. D wanted to be called Doll. So I'm like, cool. So Russ was kind of mentally retarded off some kind of way, but he identified with D and that was they peoples. So now I'm chilling. It's odd to me, but I don't give a shit. So now Les ain't getting paid his rent. He coming up to me, hey man, I ain't got no rent in 2-3 months. And I'm like, sure you have. I say, V got the money. I say, I give it to her. So he say, well, check that shit. So I go to V and I say, hey V, where the money at? Les ain't getting paid. She like, oh, F that nigga. F that nigga. That nigga soft. We ain't signed no lease. He just let us be here. We can own this bitch. So she had all this squatters' right shit going on in her head. And I'm like, oh God, no. I say, me and my mom and my family, we hardcore criminals, killers and murderers and shit like that. And we drug dealers. But bitch, we is not no fucking squatters. We fancy. We fancy hood niggas over here. So I told her that shit was kind of wrong. So when I told her that shit was kind of wrong, me and her got into a big fight. So, now we on the outs. First time we getting into some serious arguing here. So I go in there to the money where I was hidden. So I pay him what she had left over because she had start spending the money on her cousin D. She couldn't tell me what she spent the money on with D, but I know she was spending the money on D. So I'm like, cool, here you go, Les. I say, here on out, man, I pay you the rent. Now, we 6 months in the hole, so now I done paid the man 2 months, and I'm still 4 months now. He like, because of you, I'm going to let y'all stay in this bitch. He tried to get hard, but I could smell the punk on him. So he was soft as fuck. So that's the last time we seen Les in the picture. So we ain't going to mention Les no more. We're going to be mentioning the people that is associated with Les. So now, Les out the picture. So now it's just me, V, Russ, and D. So D was like, I can't sleep in this house. I'm having bad dreams. And Russ was like, yeah, bro, I can't sleep in here. I'm finna go outside. I'm going to sleep in the car. So after 2-3 months of them being in the house, these two people just couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. So I didn't give a shit. So I'm like, bitch, you can't sleep, you can't sleep. Don't come up here knocking on my door, waking up my old lady and me while my sleep. So I got to get up for work. Y'all niggas ain't working. So moving forward. So I kind of like, we having a little cookout at the house. And I say, hey, V, man, why the fuck did you paint that house that ugly ass brown color? I say, I ain't never seen a color that ugly. I say, a mixologist couldn't attempt to make that color on purpose. That bitch so nasty looking. And she said, well, when I was asleep, an old lady came to me and told me that's the color she wanted to paint her house. I say, oh yeah. I say, so it was a dream. So now I'm thinking, okay, ancestors coming to her. They need a dark space to focus and meditate. I'm having a new light on. That wasn't the case, people. So I say, okay, cool. So she keeps saying something about the old lady. This is the first time she telling me about the old lady. So I'm chilling. So again, me and her getting into fights and shit because her cousin D was just loud, bringing other dudes in there, and they did her and her boyfriend Russ banging out the dudes and shit in the other room. So it just got a little too much for my sensitive ears to deal with, So I'm like, hey man, that bitch gotta go. So that's my cousin. She ain't got she ain't got nowhere to go. And I say, well, bitch, it's either that one or us. You decide. So we on the skirts. So I had began sleeping in the living room on the couch. because we were fighting like typical angry couples do. During the time I was sleeping on the couch for about the month and a half, 2 months, I got a truck, and I'm gonna be transparent, people. I got a thing where I like to night eat. If I'm stressed, I'm gonna hit that kitchen and I'm gonna eat me a little Debbie cake. I'm gonna eat some sweets in the middle of the night because that's my stress mechanism. I'm learning to deal with that now, but that's always been my issue. So I'm stressed that we ain't fucking. I'm stressed that we arguing. I'm stressed that, shit ain't going right in my household. So I go in. So I'm in the living room on the couch 2 day, 3 day in the morning. I get up and I'm going to night eat. So I see who I think is V in the kitchen. Notice I said who I think is V in the kitchen. I'm saying who I think is V in the kitchen. So I'm looking at her, like, oh, what's up? So she ain't speaking to me. I'm like, okay, bitch, it is what it is. I can hold out just as long as you. So I go in there and I look in the cabinet, get my little nutty buddies and all that shit. I'm doing the right thing here. Go back to sleep. So, a couple nights this done happened, seen her end up wearing the same little outfit. So, a couple nights I'm getting a little randy. I'm getting a little horny. I'm like, man, I'm mad at this bitch, but I'm still paying the bill. Let me go ahead and run dick up in her. I ain't got to talk to her after that. So I see her in the kitchen. I walk past her, I slap on her ass. Bah! I slap on her ass. She never turned around. So, I'm playing games. I'm sliding my dick across her ass and shit. That bitch standing up. So what it is? She ain't pay me no attention. I say, well, fuck her. I'm going to let it go. I ain't going to keep on trying. I had groped this girl. I had groped this entity to which I thought was V about 2-3 nights in a row. No response. So now I said, well, the next night I be in the kitchen, I say, I'm just going to take the shit. Shit, we together. I'm going to, like, kiss her down, do whatever it's got to do because I'm going to get one off. So this time I go into the kitchen, 2-3 in the morning, that she there by the refrigerator, making noise, rattling pots at the sink, doing all this, but she never turned around and recognized me. And let me tell you, this ghost lady was built. Now, tits, ass, I know what I like. So she was built. So finally I got up and I said, man, you ever gonna get over this shit? And the ghost lady ain't say nothing. Well, V ain't say nothing at the time. I say, I'm tired of this shit. I'll be in the room in a little bit. She ain't say nothing, so she walked through the other side of the kitchen, because the way the kitchen made, you could get in both ways. So she walked to the other side of the kitchen, go into the step down where the little den at. So I say, okay. So I eat my little sweets, and I say, all right, I'll be in there in a second. She ain't say no. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I go in the room and hop in the bed with her. I done strip butt ass naked. So I know I'm finna jam this person up like it ain't nobody business. Strip butt ass naked, jump in the bed with her. And she like, what are you doing? She started yelling. I say, you already told. I say, you gave me the go ahead to come on in here. And she said, about time. So, okay, I'm thinking, okay, cool. It's the go ahead. So, we deal with, we engage each other, have a little fun. So I say, I'm going back on the couch. She said, you came in here just to do that, to go lay on the couch? I say, hell yeah, I'm still upset. She like, nigga, you petty. I say, I know that. But you ain't telling me nothing I don't know. So she started laughing. She like, don't go back to sleep. Don't go back in there. Come stay here, sleep with me. So, I'm acting hard, but, nigga laid back down, nigga exhausted at the same time. So lay back down with her, we go to sleep, wake up. Shit, cool. 2-3 weeks go past, no argument, we done made up. So again, I'm stressing over bills. It's come time to pay less again. I know I got 1 or 2 months of the rent because I just been saving everything, but I don't want the man to kick us out or do no dumb shit. So I'm stressing. Get again. Now keep in mind, she laying in the bed. And I'm leaving the room, going into the kitchen. Okay, cool. So leave the bed, going to the kitchen, bam, 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 bam. Go in the kitchen. I see her in the kitchen, wearing the same little moo nightgown thing, rattling pots, like she cooking something, making lemonade. I don't know what it was. So I'm like, nigga, you move real fast. Because I did stop and, turn off the lights in the bathroom So I'm thinking she could have passed by me and got there. So again, I'm like there flirting with her. That thing was good, girl. You know, you wet up the sheets. I'm just an explosive ass nigga when it comes to it. I'm just talking. She ain't saying nothing. So again, she walk out the opposite side of the thing, and I go in there and I get my little sweets. I stand up and I eat them in the kitchen and all that shit, and I go back to bed. So I get back in the bed. I'm like, hey man, why? I say, why you ain't say nothing to me now? You got a man. I said, you got an attitude again. She like, I didn't get out this bed. I said, yes you did. I said, I just seen you. She say, no. So I say, come on. So she wake up, both of us go in the kitchen. Lo and behold, both of us seeing the same old lady this time, because the old lady, the scene is playing over again. Now she saw the old lady, because she said, who this bitch in my house? Who you cheating on me with? Oh, while I'm asleep, you bringing hoes in here and fucking them. So I know she saw this lady. I say, that's you. And she like, no, that ain't me. So we both like, hell no, that's a ghost. So the lady finally turned around. It was an older lady, just still had her juices and thick as a motherfucker. I say, why does old lady look like you? This where the shit finna get real creepy, people. I say, why does old lady look like you? And she was like, I don't know. And she was like, yeah, she do look like me. All right. So now we like, this shit spooky. So back then we didn't have video phones with high resolution shit. We just had the little Motorola's and the prime codes. So, and the flip. So the bitch ain't take a good picture at all. But I did take a picture back in the day. Them phones long gone. Cause I had to prove it. So again, we looking at the lady. We questioning the little ghost lady. Me and her together. She walk out the other side. And she go, so I say, I'm finna follow. I say, that's where you walk all the time. She like, bitch, that ain't me. So we follow her. So as we follow her, we walk over there, and guess who is in the den? It's her cousin, D, the cousin who had the operation. So we end up waking D up like, D, what's this? So when D get up, and D and Russell get up, we're like, what the fuck going on, man? Like, and she like, oh, I couldn't sleep in my room. I just feel comfortable sleeping in the den. And I'm like, okay, this is going crazy. This is a little wild. I say, you ain't feel no ghost, no lady, no nothing come through here? She like, no. So I say, I'm going back to bed. This too much. So the next morning we wake up, D and Russ still sleep. So we go over there. It's 7:30 in the morning. We going over there. We got to confront this shit. So we look down, and there's a whole outfit or wig, all that shit, looking like what the lady wear at night that me and V saw. So I'm like, the hell? So we wake her up and we like, man, what the fuck this is? You dressing up like people in the middle of the night? You got some kind of sick fetish fantasy? I say, I know your situation. I say, but an old lady, dress up like a young bitch. We in there just making jokes, me and V at her. And she's like, I don't know who that is. I don't dress up in no old lady. I'm me. So we like, cool. So we say, okay, we gonna go on that bitch. We literally smoked some weed and we stayed up to go see. So we literally sat hid in the living room in the dark in this spooky ass, dank ass house. We saw her cousin get up, put on all the clothes, put on the little powdered hair wig and all that shit, do makeup in the dark, and go in the kitchen. And for like an hour and a half, her cousin was like acting like this old lady. So we like, okay, something going on. So we ain't say nothing. We just thought her cousin was crazy. So we called Les. We like, Les, man, what the fuck? Could you show us a picture of your grandmama? Because we need to know what the fuck going on. So Les shows us a picture of the grandmama. So when he showed us a picture of the grandmama, me and V looked at each other like, this the old lady that's hunting the house. So he was like, oh yeah, she died in the house. I say, died? She said, yeah, she had a headache. She was doing the dishes and she had a headache and she went into the den, laid down in the chair and died. Say, I ain't tell nobody because, people don't want to rent from you if a bitch died in your house. I say, well, the bitch ain't dead too much. She like literally hunting the house. I'm seeing her. I say, I done felt on your grandma and everything. So everybody thought that shit was a joke. Yeah, man, I done groped the fuck out the whole bitch. I'm just riding out talking pure D shit. So he say, well, you can't touch a ghost. You can't physically touch a ghost. So I don't know who you been touching. Now, people, listen to me good. Now, I'm real transparent now, and I don't hold no punches or throw no secret. So remember I told y'all in the beginning that V was purchasing all this shit for D. D wanted to be called Doll. D liked to play dress up. So the whole time I'm sitting up there rubbing on a ghost and flirting with D and all that shit there. I mean, flirting with V. I'm sitting up here doing this shit to the cousin D. But it wasn't the cousin D because she was shaped like my old lady V. They family. So I'm like, nigga, hell no. So, man, I ain't funny, bitch. What the hell you got going on here? So V calmed me down. She was like, dude, you wasn't that, say, like, a ghost was tricking you. I'm like, no. I say, listen, niggas get drunk and say they did some dumb shit in that realm. I say, that's not going to be my excuse. A ghost made me do it. I say, this shit is crazy. I say, I was literally feeling on your people, man. I feel real bad, and I'm a masculinity under attack. So everybody like tried to calm me down because I'm panicking, I'm spooking out, I'm questioning everything. I'm like, man, this ain't cool. This shit ain't right. Fuck that. That bitch gotta go. You know, I'm up in arm. So we go and we tell D like, hey, every time you dress up like that old lady possess you. And she like, how many times I gotta tell y'all I don't dress up like no old lady? And I say, we saw you. We arguing, we saw you. I say, I was feeling on you, man. I say, that's fucked up. I say, you could have said something, woke me up, stopped me. I don't know what the fuck. What I say, that's fucked up. And Russ, the dumbest nigga on the planet, I'm gonna call it, he said, nah, bruh. She always dress up like that. Even when we were back in Nolan, she used to dress up like some old fucking lady. And she used to tell me to come and slap her on her butt, and I had to do it. And I'm like, fuck that shit. You know, she want to be an old bitch, and I don't like old bitches, but I did it, you know, because that's my boo. So she ended up swinging on Russ. This is chaotic. She swung on Russ. She like, I told you about lying about me dressing up like an old bitch. I don't do that. So this chick D had no memory of dressing up like an old lady. So we like, okay, now me and V done came to the conclusion she gotta go. So we gave her a week to get out of that bitch. So now we on edge and we laughing in the bed like, man, let's get this motherfucker out of here before she come in here and try some crazy shit, rape me up while I'm in the shower. I'm just talking mad shit. We having fun with this. So it comes like a week before it's time for D and Russ to get out. D and Russ, the same shit happens. She get dressed like a woman, go clean in the kitchen. So now we know this is an apparition and enhancing that person's body, taking that person over. So my ass, I'm like, let's perform a seance or some shit, call this person down. So V go get her Bible, I go get my cross. And I'm like, grandmama, I'm finna do a seance. This old lady keep taking over this young transsexual person's body and nobody know the difference. And my grandma said, leave that alone. She said, leave that alone, baby. Leave that alone. She said, did you get the bitch out the house? I said, she'll be gone in about 2-3 days. She said, well, just let the bitch go. Let the bitch go. The old lady will follow her. I said, all right. So I'm hard-headed. So I see the girl, me and V, we get up in the middle of the night. We see the old lady inhabiting the girl body. Girl get up, go do dishes, cleaning up the kitchen, that type of shit. She just cleaning up. So I think V started reading the 23rd Psalms. When she read the 23rd Psalms, the person that was the ghost, I have to make this, I want to say it right, y'all. So the ghost that was inheriting her cousin's body went and walked her cousin and laid her cousin down on the chair. Then the ghost apparition, see-through as fuck, gets up and walks in the kitchen and stares us down. And she said, I'm sick and tired of you guys not taking care of my house. And she pointed at V And she wasn't speaking with her mouth, but she was like just saying it in her brain and her thought. And she was like, and I'm sick of you taking advantage of my grandson. She said, this is my house. I'll let you guys live here, and I'm keeping my house clean. Right when she said that, it was 2004. Now I got the date. Hurricane Charlie, or one of them hurricanes, came through, and the roof fell. The louder that woman talked, a hole fell in the roof over the kitchen. Now, I done told y'all like just the creepy shit. Here go the scary shit. Here go the real spooker part of this bitch, y'all. That wasn't spooky. So, as the roof in the kitchen, water come flooding through. Hurricane Charlie had just passed through, hole bust down in the roof. Kitchen fucked up on top of the old lady head, but she was a ghost, so wasn't nothing there. So when the roof fell, I seen a little string hanging down. So I went and got a step ladder after we cleaned everything up. I look up in the roof and I see a little string hanging down. So I'm like, man, I don't want to go in that attic type shit, bro. I'm not with it. And she like, get your scary ass up there. And I'm, man, this shit too much, bro. So I mustered up a little courage and I went up there and shit with a little flag. I had a little mirror on a stick with some tape, and I put that up there to make sure wasn't no ghost gonna jump out and get me when I stuck my head in that bitch. So it wasn't nothing up there. So I went out there and I looked. So here I see a little lock box. And it wasn't a lock box, it was a cedar chest, big ass cedar chest too. One of them old black ones with the buckles on them and the rivets. So I pulled the motherfucker down because it had a string hook to it. So I pull it down. I say, it's a big ass chest up here. So I'm standing on the chair and I'm trying to pull the bitch down. So I almost fell pulling it down. So I let the box drop. And, and I jumped off the chair and I'm like, I'm not going to catch that shit. So the box dropped. Tell me why all these voodoo dolls popped out of this box. About 6 or 7 voodoo dolls. 6 or 7 voodoo dolls. I'm going to say, if I'm mistaken, it had to be 13. So the voodoo doll dropped down. People, if I could make some shit up like this, bro, I would. But this is real life, and I wish I was still in contact with V. D passed away. D and Russ passed away. Russ, and I just tell you like this: Russ got beat up. Russ went to prison, and he died in prison. He got into it with a gang fight, and they beat this man to death with their fists. D, on the other hand, passed away from HIV and AIDS. So when the box fell over, all these dolls fell out. It was a doll for everybody in that house. It was a doll that looked like me. It was a doll that looked like V. It was a doll that looked like D. It was a doll that looked like Russ. It was a doll that looked like Les. It was a doll that looked like the old lady. It was a doll that looked like that had all our features, and you could feel your energy. I felt my energy when I picked up the doll that looked like me. I felt my energy coming from it. And I'm like, the hell? And I say, don't this bitch look like me? And she like, this doll look like me. So naturally, we call Les ass. We say, Les, what the fuck, bitch? What you trying to get? Now I'm heated. So I'm heated. He like, oh, my grandma, she was into voodoo, black magic. And I'm saying, and V said, oh yeah, we knew they was into that shit. And I say, so you still had us move in the house? She say, I told you, old lady told me to paint the house black and all these nasty ass colors and put all these faces around the house. And I'm like, this shit too much, man. This too much for me. So naturally, I'm seeing the voodoo doll of myself, seeing her everybody. So V mama walked down there and say, y'all need to get out of this house. And she preaching the Bible and spitting and throwing holy water all on the Bible. All on the front porch and shit. And, yeah, man, get out of here with that shit. That shit weak compared to what we just seen an apparition take over some little homosexual girl. And yeah, that shit weak. Nigga, we need professional help. So I ended up calling Grandma. So I said, Grandma, I'm gonna come over here. Grandma been in that corner with that Buick. And she said, get me some Baca, Red Man. Get me some Levi Garrett, Red Man Golden Blend. Have it ready for me when I get there. I said, yes, ma'am. So I walked to the corner store, get us some Levi Garrett, get us some Levi Tobacco, Red Man Golden Blend. Red Man, y'all remember that? Golden Blend. So I go out there and I get tobacco for her. And I say, Grandma, look at this. She say, I say, Grandma, what is this? Help me out. I say, I got a curse on me. Grandma say, baby, can't nothing fuck with you, not while I'm here. I say, all right, Grandma. So my grandma end up going, and my grandma like, help me up. So my grandma, savage, old lady, you gotta think she was in her 60s and shit back then. She was like 68. So grandma, I boosted grandma ass up into the attic, and grandma went up there, and grandma found all kind of spiritual, mystical shit. And grandma was like, how the fuck this bitch put all this up here? So the lady altar room, workroom was in the kitchen, above the kitchen in the little cubby space in the attic. The lady would get a ladder, her and her husband would walk up there, and that's where they were doing their magical spells at night on people, doing work for people. The whole house was filled with items that had been worked on. People had been doing work. So now, I want you guys to listen to what I'm saying. Why was it a doll of me and V? Pay attention to the shit I'm talking about, people. Why was it a doll of V and me? Remember V put her period in that motherfucking food I ate, and she tried to trap me? So V had scoped me out. My grandma said, that bitch done scoped you out. Grandma said, that bitch did a spell to make you like her. That's why you was like that. That's the only reason you chose this stupid New Orleans bitch. And I said, yeah, Grandma, I had to. So now I'm thinking, but I'm still fucking with V. Move on to the other apartment and shit right before I broke up with her. So V had went to Les' grandmama and had Les' grandmama do a spell so me and her can get together. And she had all the people she had did spells on in this chest. So now, that's how my ass got in there. Grandma deduced that shit for me. Now, how did a doll of D and Russ get in the bitch? So, again, Varel, I gotta cut that out. So, V mama comes up, and she had been going to the lady to protect her nephew who was on this journey to be transitioning as a woman. Now, Russ was with her, and they had all said they were moving down here, so this shit was all by design. All of them was supposed to get a house together, and it was by design. All of them was supposed to live together. Just the lady passed away prior to all this happening, so we had to move into our house. So I said, Les, it's $1 of you up here. He said, my grandma always had $1 of me, and she always kept it safe and made sure I didn't get hurt. So that's why Les could ride with the big boys and not getting no shit. So my grandmama helped my grandma down. My grandma started bringing all the work that lady had been doing. And my grandma handled that shit with care. It took me and my grandma at least 4 hours to get all the work that lady had did. And my grandma put it in this little wooden Chester case made out of cedar. And my grandma had some ancient writing on the bitch. She wrote this script down herself. She labeled it with Bible verses, glued it with Bible verses, put all the items in this big ass cedar chest and all that stuff. And she said, baby, help me drag this to the field. We finna burn this. She said, I gotta set these people free. I said, yes, ma'am. So she laid every damn piece of work she did in there, except the voodoo doll of me, V, D, Russ, and Les. All the other people voodoo dolls, she set it in that bitch. She put her little Florida water. She did her little light, and she burnt the whole King James version of the Bible with the shit. Salt, ram, cayenne pepper. She did it all. She did her thing. So she sat there, and my grandma stayed there for 2 hours and made sure that shit burnt down to purity ash. She kept doing gasoline and Florida water and anything to make it burn. Fuel, Palo Santo, sage. She burnt that shit down to ash. Grandma a real one, y'all. So after grandma burnt that, she say, now all these souls that lady been fucking with, if she fuck with them, it's free. So keep in mind, I'm still living in the house. So grandma say, give me your doll. And grandma say, everybody, I'm finna give y'all doll. Y'all do what you want with it. But grandma took my doll. And grandma said, I need you to come to my house when I'm off work on Sunday. Get your ass over there now. I need you there 6, 7 in the morning. Yes, ma'am. So now I still had to live in the house with these people for 3, 4 more days till Sunday came. All that night, the house was possessed. Cabinets throwing around, TV couldn't get right, the wind blowing like it's a thunderstorm. It's like the house smelled like mildew and water. Everything just was bad. The lights went out in the house. A dog came to the house, and we didn't even know the dog, and the dog was just sitting in front of the yard barking. We'll go out there and throw a shoe at it. Then we fed the bitch, and the bitch didn't eat the food. It just was barking at the house, bitching and barking at the house for all night long. So we like, oh, this lady mad. So we finally went to sleep a couple of days after staying up, saying this bitch ain't gonna get us. We finally went to sleep. When we went to sleep, I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm stressed. I wake V up, man, come to the kitchen with me. You know, nigga stressed, I need to eat something. So she get up. So when we go in there, the ladies won't let us enter in the kitchen. We know she there. We ain't afraid of her. Nah, she ain't doing no dishes or washing no pots. She is like, with her arms crossed, blocking us from going into the kitchen. Keep in mind, the hole is still in the roof. So we tried to walk in, and she was like, and it was just a big ass barrier stopping us from going in there. The lady was mad. So again, we thinking this shit funny. So I say, I'm going to 7-Eleven. So we leave the house, get in the car, go to 7-Eleven. We can't get back in the house. We get turning keys, we go in the windows, everything locked. The lady locked us out of her house, so we called Les, and Les opened the door and let us back in. Keep in mind, everybody still got their dog. Now this shit went on for 2-3 days till Sunday. So I want to make sure I tell you. So now D and Russ move out, but they said fuck that shit. They leave the dog in the house. V take her dog with her because she moved with me to the apartment. Everything like that. Grandma had me over there, so grandma didn't like V at all. So that was that. That was the end of living in that house with the creepy ass spell working dogs and shit all over the place. So Les renovated the house, did something, threw away the dogs, whatever. I get a call right after me and V break up that Russ got sentenced to prison time and get beat up and killed in prison. D, who liked to dress up as everybody else who called herself doll, gets like catch HIV and AIDS and die in less than 6 months with the shit. V take her shit to her mama house and do whatever and hide it. My grandma got mine, and my grandma called me over that Sunday. She said, I'm finna unravel this bitch. She said, I'm gonna need something for you. And I still got the cut on my finger. She said, here, cut your finger. I need you to rub your blood on here. She said, I need you to wake this spirit up. I said, yes, ma'am. I follow my grandma's rule. I'm finna tell you something. So I rubbed my finger on it, wake the spirit up. Grandmama, take her time. It took my grandma 30, 40 minutes. She, everywhere that lady sewed, she got some scissors and she broke the stitching on there. She broke the stitching on there. She broke the stitching on there. And she opened it up and she took out the head first. She took out all the cotton and all the shit that was in the head that looked like me. She took it out and she was dropping it in a pot and like where fire was. Then she went ahead and she unraveled the arms on it, the right arm first, then the left arm. Whatever material was made out of that, she dropped that in there. She unraveled the legs, each leg, whatever material, she dropped that in the pot. Then she opened up the torso so slow. When she opened up the torso, she said, okay, baby, I want you to take this out and put it in the pot. I said, yes, ma'am. So with my bloody finger, I said, yes, ma'am. So with the finger that I had cut with the blood on it, I dug the cotton, the dead man weeds out and all that other shit she put in there, and I sprinkled it in the pot real slow. And this flame turned blue, then it turned pink, then it turned back blue again. And she said, okay now, baby. Now, she said, I'm finna put this whole doll, the remaining of the wrappings and everything in the fire. She said, if you get sick, fall down, she said, don't worry, I got you. So she made me put a chair behind me, but I had to stand up next to her. So as soon as she dropped the doll in the pot where the fire was, I fell in the chair and I just slumped over. And I felt my grandma holding my head, and I slumped over just about 30, 40 seconds, and she would rub my head. She'd say, my poor baby, my poor baby. So then I woke up, and grandma was like, it's over. And I'm like, thank you, Grandma. And she say, you want me to go do it for a V? I say, I don't know, Grandma. You got to ask her that. I say, they into some crazy shit. And she say, yeah, I wish you leave that bitch. And I say, I am, Grandma. I am, Grandma. So Grandma give me a kiss and a haul laugh. Now we living in an apartment, and y'all know the rest from the other story with the suit. The bitch was always trying to get me. So I'm finna finish this bitch up. I know this is a long one, longer than what most people know what most of them go for, but y'all rock with me here. So now, the house is on what they call Hope Circle, or Hope Road. You'll get to Hope Road if you go down Old Winter Garden Road, make a right on Pine Hills Road, then make a left on Hope Road. If you keep on going, it'll bend around and turn into Hope Circle, the Hope Road. And so the house is there. It's a one-story rancher style house. So we sitting out there, and I'm driving past the house. Now we done moved out. People tell me what the house look like. Ain't nobody ever lived in that bitch in 30, 40, 50 years. The grass had grew in less than a week or two. The windows, the caulking on the windows had dried up. I even went in the backyard to see what was going on. You know, see, can I go to the house and get some out the house? You know, get back in the house, see, did V leave some? The knobs on the doors are rusted. It's like the energy and the life left that house. Now, I'm going to end that story right there. And if you guys want to, we can ask questions about it on the live, on the recap that I'm going to do. But people, bear with me. What if that lady, less grandmama, less granddaddy, the rich people of the community, of that community, what if they was doing all that work, keeping that house alive, keeping their money coming in, keeping themselves alive and the energy alive in them houses? But as soon as my grandma destroyed all that shit, that house decayed like a motherfucker. That says something, people. So I'm going to tell you guys, man, be careful. Just be careful who house you move into. And I know rent is high. Motherfuckers looking for places to stay. Shit is expensive. If you got a good spot you're living in, stay there. And if you can't, baby, just do your due diligence. Do your research on the bitch. Clean the house. Take some dirt from the property. Bless the soil. Remove all the entities. And before you move in that bitch, spiritually clean that motherfucker. Do your history. Because I done experienced all that shit in the span of 6 months living with this crazy goddamn woman. 6 months, people, I experienced all that though. Oh, before I let you go, it was the house always, and when you walk in the kitchen, it had two different smells. It always smelled like boiled chicken and rice. And the rest of the house smelled horrible, like those little leather bags that girl was putting on around that bitch. Now, again, I don't know if this story was spooky. I don't know if it was crazy, but it definitely gave you ass something to think about, and it's a real-life occurrence that happened to me. I'm finna sign off. I'm tight. I'm tight. Telling you guys, a house is a place for all souls. So be careful who you close the door behind. Take care, everybody. God bless.